Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Oh, it's good today, isn't it? It's been a great day. We've had some great sessions. We've got two more left. This next session is about garden rooms. And obviously, with what's been going on recently, people are needing more space at home. The obvious place to go into is the garden. So, yes. I hope you're going to enjoy it. Now, if you can put your hands together, I'll get the panel out and we can get started. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to our panel. Thank you. Karen, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well, Kunle.
You're not coming on?
How
Stuart?
are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Yeah, very well, Kunle.
Without falling off the stage.
I'm going to go over this side.
We go, James. Hello. Max.
Hello.
It's great to see you again.
Thank you. Am I up here?
You can be. Is that okay?
Yeah, I feel quite high.
So just for the audience who don't know who we are, would you like to just introduce ourselves?
So I'm Karen Stylianides and I'm the editor of Grand Designs magazine, and I also oversee the website, Grand Designs magazine website.
Hi all, I'm Stuart and I'm director of InFrame Garden Rooms and Extensions.
I'm James, I'm a director from Studio New Architects.
And I'm Max, and I've got a double-decker bus.
Hey.
Brilliant. So look, I mean, how many do any of you have garden rooms at the moment? Or are you thinking of getting one? Yeah, there you go. Brilliant. For obvious reasons, they become more and more popular to be outside. One way to do that is to get a firm in like yours, Stuart, to do it. And how does that work? How does the process work?
Yeah, so we've got a 10-step process, Kunle. Our customers can get in touch with us. We're fully architecturally led with James, who's my business partner on InFrame. So you can get in touch, give us a brief, and we can do your design. There's a very small fee for that design. It's just £295, and we refund that design fee once we're instructed to deliver the project.
Mm. And is it a long process in order to get one of these built up? And how does it come? Does it come as one thing, or?
So we've got a panelised steel frame design, so that means we can walk it through your access or through your front door even. So no, it's very quick. So it's maybe a couple of weeks to go through the design process, if not quicker. And then the whole build program is around about 2 weeks in total.
And Karen, I mean, I think in days of old, sheds and things, people, having little sheds in the background. But the design sort of ethos of these garden rooms now is much, much different, isn't it?
Oh, some of them can be absolutely luxurious. And really, I think the thing to say is it depends what you want to use it for.
Yeah.
If it's, for instance, going to be a home office, something that you're going to use regularly, you really need to look. You're going to need more than a shed.
Yeah.
You're going to need something that's well insulated, with good quality glazing, something that's going to keep you warm. If you're working in it all year round, you're going to, need to be nice and cosy. So you really need to look at, the kind of companies, InFrame company, who can provide that kind of building for you. It's more than just, garden room. As I say, it could be shed, uninsulated, single, panel, timber. But you really need to look at something as a bit more of an upgrade, depending on what you want to use it for. And then some people use them as home gyms, of course.
Yep.
And for all sorts of purposes. So, yeah, I think that's the important
There you go.
thing, is to
Home
go
gym.
with an expert who knows exactly, who can adapt the room to what you need it to be.
James, when you're designing these rooms, I mean, they are designed not as just sheds necessarily. They are, designed as well as houses. In some cases, probably better.
They're pretty close to houses, technically, so they're a little bit below building regs. But we designed them pretty much as part of your house. So it is designed in relationship to your house and your garden. So it really is a room in your garden, which they've become now. They've actually become micro extensions of the home.
Yeah. And Max, what I'm interested in talking to you about is if, for example, for various reasons, somebody doesn't have the budget or the time or whatever to kind of get a new one in, if they've got a shed, is there anything they can do to kind of make that more appealing as an office or a gym?
Well, it is possible now, and I think technology, I don't know about you guys, but technology's improved so much over the last few years with sort of low power, clever heating, good insulation. The biggest problem I've ever had is condensation, weirdly, because I've dealt with a lot of container projects, and people forget things like condensation.
Yeah.
And also the biggest mistake I've ever made when I converted something was lack of through air. So I live in a shipping container, which sounds a bit weird, but it's a 40-footer with a wall of glass, and it looks beautiful. But air doesn't know where you want it to go, does it? So if I can open my wall of glass, but you need the cold air to come in and circulate and stuff,
Yeah.
and condensation was the biggest problem I had. But we did a show called Shed of the Year, which was fantastic. It's the best thing I've ever done. And at some of the conversions we saw, people turning their sheds into bars and home offices, all the way to 3D printing labs and some real
Right.
wacky stuff. But yeah, I would say for me, it's about the technology and the fact that you can now heat and insulate and light solar panels. I'm in love with solar panels at the moment, and they're not even that expensive anymore, are they?
No. And is that something that even someone without much construction experience could do, do you think? I mean, is it quite as simple as going to a local DIY store, buying some solid insulation, putting it in, and...
Depending on the quality, like you
Yeah.
guys, you can use your studios all year round. So, I mean, that's a different kind of quality level,
Yeah.
I would say. But if it's just something for the summer, for the kids to play in, a shed is more than just a place to store your lawnmower now, isn't it? You can pimp it. And like I say, garden bars are fantastic. During lockdown, who didn't want a bar in their own back garden? So as long as you're appreciative.
Kunle, we have a guest
Oh,
who's
do we?
just arrived.
Oh, my goodness.
Hello.
Garden designer.
Don't worry. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Garden offices.
And garden rooms and garden sheds and pottery barns or whatever you need them for.
Massive, massive.
Yep.
In terms of sales, shot through the roof. Clients couldn't get them fast enough. But as somebody here said, there's a real difference between sheds and actually a garden office, because it's all about the insulation and all of that. But the other thing that I actually did want to make a point of is the selection of timber, because that's a big thing. Like, you can get UK larch, which is really, really good, and actually sustainable as well, because you're not having to bring it over from another country. So far better to choose native species as opposed to cedar. Cedar's lovely, don't get me wrong, cedar's absolutely beautiful, doesn't have as many knots in it, which is fantastic, but actually it comes from abroad, so the carbon footprint on cedar is massive compared to what you would get from native species.
Yeah. And Karen, in the past, I guess these rooms have been kind of down the end of the garden and very separated from the home in both use and design, but I'm seeing images now in magazines and photos. These are almost extensions in terms of, in terms of a
Absolutely.
design ethos of the house.
I've seen quite a few examples of people where they have an extension to their home, a rear extension, and they will build a garden building at the same time.
Yeah.
And so the two are coordinated and use the same material. So it might be the charred larch that's on the exterior of the extension, and similarly will be on the garden room. So that it's about, it's absolutely about coordinating those two spaces and making them work together.
And presumably
also-
for planning, does that help with planning? You guys deal with that all the time, don't you? Because some of these buildings we see are beautiful, but
Yeah.
do they need proper planning permission? No.
No.
They don't need planning if they're 2.5 meters tall. You are allowed to have them in the garden so long as they're kept 2 meters away from the boundary.
Yeah.
So they don't need planning. But actually, there is another option. You can actually use cement boards. Cement boards can be used as cladding. And if you want to get closer to the boundary, so 1 meter away, if you use cement boards, they're less flammable, so long as the cabin is made more out of that material.
Right.
So they're not highly flammable, so therefore you can actually push them closer to the boundary line.
So it's the flammability issue that restricts you.
Correct.
From where, I see. I didn't realise that.
And the wonderful thing about cement boards is that you can paint them. They come in different finishes as well now, so you can actually get like a wood grain finish as well.
Nice.
So there's other options coming onto the market all the time.
And in terms of cladding, I mean, you can choose pretty much anything you want for your garden room. Assuming you could have it rendered, cladded in whatever larch or another timber, brick slips, I guess, if you wanted to fit in with a period property.
Yep. Aluminium, zinc, again, all non-combustible.
Yeah.
Cement
Copper.
boards, as you say.
Copper would be nice.
Yep, that'd be lovely. There's
There's no limits really.
Yeah, render boards and K-render.
Lots of metal clads coming out now as
Yeah.
well. And the other thing that you guys might have discussed this before I came, but try and keep, especially if you're using timber cladding, try and keep it vertical as opposed to horizontal, because it's how the rainwater travels down, and if the rainwater settles along the horizontal plane, it is likely to start causing rot. Whereas if it's vertical, it's going to travel straight down and onto the ground. So
That is a good tip.
That's another thing to bear in mind, that try and keep it vertical.
Yeah.
Tips like that are really interesting, because when you get to kind of designs where you've got more options, you might not understand the implications of different choices. So, tips like that are really, really important, I think.
And also, timber framework in terms of the main framework, it's one thing to bear in mind that if you have skinny framework, it actually, the integrity of the building becomes questionable. Whereas if it's thicker framework, it's sturdier. And not only that, but actually you can have thicker insulation inside as well.
And in terms of insulation, you guys obviously know this, but I always thought insulation was only there to keep you warm when it's cold outside. But actually, it's the other way around as well, isn't it? In the summer, it keeps you cool. And from a noise point of view, if you're using it as a gym or something, or in a home office, it feels a lot better sound-wise.
And is position another thing to think about in that respect? Do you know what I mean? If maybe you don't want to put it in the sunniest part of your garden, because it's going to likely to overheat in the summer months, and then be conversely a bit colder in the winter.
Yeah,
So
they're not fully up to building regs, so you do need to position it right, get the window position right, get the glazing right.
Yeah.
Some of them we've overhangs if it overheats as well. And the reason you've got a condensation problem is you've got your insulation in the wrong place. If you had it outside of your steel box, you wouldn't have the condensation problem. So you have to position the insulation correctly and the build-up as well.
Yeah, I used a Graphotherm, I think was the product. I sprayed it first in the end, and that seemed to solve it. That was great. But you don't think about these things, do you? When you're in a shed, you think, put a chair in the corner, little running machine over there, I'll be fine. But then condensation's dripping on your head. You think, it wasn't quite as simple as that. So you can convert a shed, but probably never to the standard of a proper home office.
We use a product on the outside, so we insulate, as most do, in the void, and then we use an insulating foil material on the external, and that reflects the
Same
heat
with NASA
in the summer, so it creates a much...
It's what, sorry?
Same as NASA uses.
Yeah, it's
yes, Superfoil. You told me about that.
so we wrap the
Apollo.
I guess that also provides waterproofing as well.
Yeah,
exactly. And vapor control
as well. Yeah,
controls the vapor as well.
And that's really important when it's an outdoor building. That is something that's quite important.
And I think it's important for people to understand that the amount of design and the amount of kind of the build-up of and the quality of these buildings, because I was looking recently, and there's just so many options, and they can range from a few £100 to a few thousand to then tens of thousands. A garden room is not a garden room is not a garden room, and I think it's important that people understand what they're actually buying.
I think it's the all year use is where it changes from a shed to a garden room. When you're using it for all around the year, for any use you want, then you're into a garden room. If it's a bespoke summer disco, then a shed's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Presumably it adds value to your property as well. If you invest properly and buy an additional room in your house, when you come to sell it, it probably pays for itself.
Yeah, you've got... it's an extension to your home if it's well designed. So you're adding that space onto your house, and it's the value of that addition.
Yeah, it's as per an extension you'd be...
Is there kind of like a starting price that you should be thinking about if you want somewhere
if you're
that's
anything
gonna
below
go...
20,000, you're not really going to be able to use it properly all year round.
Yeah, I would say 25k is about the decent starting price for a good quality garden office.
Yeah.
Because as you say,
Yeah.
anything lower than that, I think you're not going to be able to use it the way
Yeah.
you want to. The other thing that I was going to say was that what you also got to consider is, and this is totally dependent on the size of the office that you have, but the foundations.
Yep.
Because if you've got a big office, you're probably going to have to do a dig out, do a concrete pour foundation. Now, obviously, with a concrete pour, that's expensive, but there are now things on the market called ground screws.
Yep.
So they're these enormous sized ground screws you put into the ground, and you can create your framework on top of those. The only thing that you've got to bear in mind with that is that that'll raise the level of your office by another 200 mil. So then it might become an issue in terms of your height and your boundary line.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're describing screw piles, which is,
Yeah.
not a new technology. They use it to build big buildings, and it's coming in the domestic market now. But for a garden room, it's great because for a standard-sized garden room, I'm guessing you probably need, 5 piles or something? 4 or 5 you could use?
8 or 9.
Sorry?
8 or 9.
8 or 9?
I was
Yeah.
going to say you need more than that.
They are.
I better get home and put a few more in mine.
Yeah, I'd up the spec in those a little bit.
We've
But also
designed
for
all those in.
access,
Sorry?
because you can't always get a cement mixer or a concrete delivery
Yeah.
to your back garden, can you?
Exactly,
If
you
you've got a
can
smaller
carry
home.
them through the house, and
Yeah.
that's the benefit of them. You don't need any concrete.
Yeah.
You can just
Yeah.
carry them through. And
No, they're great, and they're quick because it can be, you start and then they effectively, screw these things into the ground, and it can be done in a day as opposed to,
That's
or
right.
if you've got protected trees in your garden. If you've
Exactly.
got protected
Yeah.
trees, you're not going to be able to do a dig out.
Yeah,
Because you're going to
absolutely.
kill those trees.
Yeah.
So that's another option.
Now, that budget that we talked about earlier, the 20 to 25,000 for a starting point, that might sound very expensive to someone, but we're not really talking just about the design or how it looks. We're really talking about year-long use, and we're talking about a structure that is built almost to the same standards of your house. I mean, that's right, isn't it, James?
yeah, you're replicating. You're basically building. It's not full building regs, but very close to full building regs. Fully insulated, vapor barriers. The glazing is already is the same as your house, so the same quality as your house. Sliding doors are the same quality as on your house. So you can pretty much add that area onto your house in terms of usable space onto your house. And
And
if you
for
look at
that-
an extension cost, it's the same. If you think about building an extension, it's very similar cost point.
And for that, how long would you expect the building to last?
So if it's maintained, it'll go for forever, really. So it's timber clad steel box. It's off the ground. It's got DPM.
Yeah.
So if it's maintained, there's no reason
Yeah.
unlike the sheds who have 5 to 10 year lifespan of a timber. A pine timber shed is 10 years if you're good, if you didn't maintain it well, or so it's a difference in product.
And weirdly, I mean, one of the first garden rooms I was involved in was one for a TV show, this Alan Titchmarsh show I did, and it was in a tiny garden. And I actually couldn't believe they were going to, when the garden designer showed it to me, I was like, really? It seemed small, but it was really interesting, actually, because what they'd done, and I hadn't realised it until it was actually finished, it was a real kind of almost a mirror of what was going on in the rest of the house. And it was fun, and it was like you walked through this garden, which was small, but that was redesigned, so that seemed bigger. But it really added something to the home and made it feel bigger. And it was just, I didn't realise that until I saw it, because I just assumed, so some people out there might be thinking, we've only got a small garden, so there's no point. But it does make a difference, doesn't it?
It does, definitely. I mean, just the value it adds not only onto your property, but the value it actually adds onto your life. I mean, through the pandemic, loads of people are working from home. So therefore, do you take up another bedroom to turn into an office?
Yeah.
Or do you have something like that?
And
I'd have
maybe
some-
if you're taking up quite a lot of the garden, and I mean, Manoj, you'll know about this, maybe green roof. If you have a green roof on it,
Yep.
that will be a way to reintroduce some greenery into your scheme so that you don't feel, that you're completely losing all of that
Yeah,
from your
yeah.
back garden.
And actually, that's quite nice, because when you look out of your house from the top windows, you're not looking onto a horrible grey flat roof. You're
Yeah.
looking over greenery.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, sedum roofs are another way.
Yes.
Very easy to look after as well. And actually, you can put things like wildflower turf as well.
Yeah,
So
lovely.
get wildflowers growing on top of the roof. So
But that also comes back to system as well, doesn't it? So if you've got the right system,
yeah,
in terms of a steel build system, then the steel build is strong enough to take a sedum roof.
that's it. Yeah.
And the product in InFrame that we use on top is our Weetra, so that comes with its own 20-year guarantee just on the roof product.
Yeah.
And the sedum
Yeah.
and different options that you talked about there can sit straight on top.
'Cause it is incredibly heavy, isn't it?
Very,
I
yeah.
rather naively, you'll be surprised to hear, put a 20-foot container in my back garden. Well, actually, it's worse than that. You said about walking it through the house. I got a 20-foot container delivered outside. We were going to crane it over, and they said, oh, no, you're not allowed. So me and my mate chopped it up into 25 pieces. Like, the reason I got a 20-foot container was it was solid and structurally sound. We cut it into 25 pieces, walked it through the house, and welded it back together again. So utterly ridiculous. But we put a sedum roof on, and it started bowing, a big metal shipping container.
Really?
When it's wet, and you've got all
When
those
it's wet,
pockets
yeah.
of earth and the membrane. So yeah, we had to kind of strip it back a little bit and reinforce it. So yeah, sedum roofs can be heavy.
60 kilos a square metre when
So
wet.
it is.
Wow.
When
Yeah,
wet,
really
yeah.
heavy. So you need the structure to be able to take it.
Yeah.
And the
Well,
product underneath.
Manoj, it was interesting because it goes back to one of the in your talk earlier when you talked about, I can't remember exactly how you had a very nice way of saying it, but effectively you were talking about what you can see when you're in the house.
Yeah.
So if you had a garden room with
Exactly.
lovely
Line of sight.
cladding, yeah, and then a kind of a wildflower roof on it, then that'd be fantastic. wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And also the other thing, again, going back to sustainability, what it does is when it rains, it slows the water down as well. From, you know, because it's really important that we all think about these things now as well. How do we stop flooding? How do we mitigate, you know, all the issues that we've got with flooding and pollution and all of that? Well, green roofs are just one of the ways that we can all help.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so certainly I would always advocate that if you are having a garden office, think about a green roof on top.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea. And they look lovely.
And actually, can I just add something else?
Yep.
You know, we talk about an office in a small garden taking up a lot of space, but what about creating maybe some living walls, just so that, again, you still feel as if you're in a
Yeah.
much
Okay, yeah.
greener
I was going to ask you
environment.
about that actually.
Yeah.
But are they quite difficult to maintain? Do they need a lot of looking after?
It depends. I think they can be high maintenance. A lot of it's down to plant choice and where you actually put the living wall. You know, there are if you're very selective about the sort of plants that you put in there,
Yep.
and you understand that the water from the top is going to slowly seep down, then what you can do is you can put the slightly more drought-tolerant ones at the top, and as you're getting lower down, put the ones that are going to require more water, because that's
Yeah.
where the water's going to end up.
Yeah.
So it's really thinking all of that through,
Yeah.
and then it's actually manageable. And vine weevils are always a bit of a problem, but actually, again, if you understand how they work, you can always put some medication into the system so that actually that keeps them at bay.
Yeah.
And understanding what plants are susceptible to vine weevil.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that's a great idea because effectively it would almost vanish into the back of the garden.
Exactly.
You just wouldn't see it because you'd see plants and then you'd see a what. That's what I want on mine.
Using cable, so the green roof product wrapped around a cable in quite a big garden project we're doing.
Yeah.
And again, that just brings that aesthetics. It brings the home to the garden.
To the
room
garden,
and just
yeah.
blends it.
Yeah.
Really nice.
It's a really good way. I mean, you know, to make a garden feel really lush and bigger as well.
Yeah.
It is entirely doable.
Yeah. So even if you think your garden is small, it's still an option to explore.
Absolutely. I would say definitely that you could put a garden office in the small garden quite easily.
Yeah, and without overpowering it or overcrowding it. And
Keep it green.
Yeah.
Green. Easy.
No, that's fantastic. And I guess, Stuart, they're quite flexible as well. So
Yeah.
just because your initial thought might be, I want it as a gym, doesn't necessarily mean it's always a gym. So
No, you need
use
to
it as an office if you
yeah,
want.
you keep the future in mind and keep the space completely flexible and have maybe an area that's of multi-use
Yeah.
So when we take our buildings, we've got the power coming from the distribution board direct, so they're future-proofed in terms of the power. We could have an office area with a family area with sofa TV, maybe a partition storage area, so it's a completely flexible space. And then again with annexes, you can add kitchens and bathrooms.
You think about it more like a room, so it's got power, it's got IT, and then
Yeah.
Containment for the TV, and even if there's some of our customers think that we're not sure if we're going to have a TV, we'll put the containment behind the wall in design, and then it's all there for if and when they need it.
You're future-proofing it, which is a fantastic idea, you know, because then you've got multi-uses for that space as well.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a boring practical question,
Okay.
but
We'll let you off.
how disruptive is it to get an electrical supply out to the garden room? And so
question.
I'm assuming it's going to mean digging up your entire garden and putting a trench in. And similarly for any pipe work, if you wanted a little kitchenette or a loo or something in there.
Yeah, so pipe work is more disruptive. In terms of an armoured cable, that can, to regs, clip along the fence. So depending on the shrubs and everything there, it can be hidden quite well and not really seen. You can dig them in 1/2 a metre as well. It is a job, but all of our electricians are NIC registered. We've got it all in-house.
Yeah.
And we treat that as a separate job and come and do that first and get back to the distribution board.
it is the only activity that disrupts the family, is that clicking it together, that one activity. It's pretty short.
Yeah.
What about solar? Do you use a lot of green energy? Because I've just done a camper van,
alternatively,
and I was amazed at how big these lithium batteries are now and how effective the solar really is. It's a bit seasonal though, isn't it? When you want the power the most, it's dark. So in the winter, when you want to put an electric
But
heater on, you haven't got the sun.
all the equipment is now gone to very low energy. So the LED is very low. Your TV is now very low. A lot of the laptops are very low. So we're designing leisure products with very little PV on it, and because everything is so low power, it balances up. And the batteries now are very sophisticated.
Yeah, I was amazed that in the camper van I've even got electric hot water, electric heated ceiling. And I thought, wow, 5 years ago, if you build a camper van, it was all gas and diesel.
Yeah.
So it's nice that we're moving over to these sustainable energies. I think it makes it a lot more feasible for people at home to do it.
Yeah.
I would say that the plumbing is probably more disruptive than trying to get electrics over.
Of course.
Yeah. Because not that different to getting electrics to the back of a garden, is it?
No, exactly.
Yeah. So
And generally, most people do tend to have some kind of electric outlet in their garden. So to be able to take it from there is fairly non-disruptive.
Yes.
I mean, that's quite a good picture, isn't it? Because you can see there's like a kind of garden to the right, yours in the middle, I'm guessing, and then to the left, that's more of a kind of shed lodgy type thing from a while ago. So it's almost showing you and then there's a tiny little something.
There's a lawnmower in that one for
Yeah,
sure.
there's a lawnmower and an old chopper or something, in there. But are you finding that more and more people are wanting these rooms in their homes?
No, absolutely. It's a changing world, isn't it? And it's being quick to adapt. And we're spending more time at home, and it's about making our homes, as I say, adaptable and usable. So rather than setting up on having breakfast with the family in the morning, going on the big long commute, we're
spending too much time with our children now, so we need a space where we can go.
We've gone from the kitchen table, which is what everyone first did. Well, where are we going to work? Kitchen table, or maybe third bedroom in the loft where the Wi-Fi is not great. To now creating the space we need, which is specifically designed for the application and its use.
Yeah. I mean,
I was going to say there's something really interesting. One of our clients who had offices through the pandemic, and obviously then everyone was working at home, and he actually said to us that he's found that his staff, because they're now working from home, work a lot harder in terms of they just do it than when they're in the office. So actually, what does that say in terms of productivity? Well,
it says a lot. I mean, I know for one, I work much harder. My boss is listening anyway. I was not just watching television. I was not doing that. I was working very hard. No, but joking apart, look, I think the world has definitely changed in terms of our attitude to what can be achieved at home. I think there are, for different industries, it is slightly different, but I think, you know, certainly for the creative ones, there's a big argument for people to be, you know, to be able to just sort of have that creative space and be on their own and in a space that makes them feel happy. I mean, do you find that, obviously, you're a journalist, Karen, so, you know, you've got to write.
I can work anywhere.
Can you? But is that, that's because you're old school. You're just...
advantage of being a journalist.
Sorry?
But that's one advantage of being a journalist,
Yeah.
yes, that I can work. And I was actually working from my kitchen table, but I would love to have a garden office for sure.
Yeah.
But one thing that it makes me think about is when I'm thinking of working from home and in a garden office is the quality of light. And I saw, you know, that one of the garden rooms that we just looked at the picture of had a roof light. And would you suggest that's something that really people should think about? Again, the glazing. So you tend to find just big expanses of glazing at the front, which is only going to give you a light from a certain direction.
We customize our designs probably a little bit more than most.
Yeah.
So, because as designers, we're working on the very front end of it and positioning it and getting the amount of light and understanding where the sun comes. You can bring design to it and make sure it works from a daylight point of view all year round.
Yeah.
I think I touched on it earlier, but I made that fundamental mistake of a wall of bifold doors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we love the look of it from the front.
Yes.
But I didn't put any windows, nothing opened in the back. So again, I can open those bifold doors in the summer, but it just stays stifling hot.
Right, because there's no airflow.
Yeah, there's no flow at all.
Yeah.
One tiny little window in the back, and suddenly it starts to move around, and it's a lot cooler. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
But
my
again,
major
it's
mistake.
the light also, isn't it? Because there's a much greater amount of light actually comes in through the roof.
Exactly,
You
yeah.
can have a much
A smaller
roof
area.
light, and it will make the space a lot lighter.
Yeah,
than
no, you're
just
right.
having that-
And it's better quality light as well.
And I think it's also partly to do with, you know, your mental state of mind. Also, when you're working, to work in natural light
Yes.
is
Yeah.
much better than working in artificial light. So if you've got light coming from above, then actually that is so much better than just having front face,
Yeah.
where the light's coming through. Because most, you know, towards the rear, it's then going to be dark.
Yeah.
It's quite
Yeah.
private as well, isn't it? Because we've just got a narrow boat and we've ripped the roof off and put in a massive 6-metre long piece of glass in.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, you don't need to put curtains on it particularly because, in my opinion, you should get up when it gets light, go to bed when it gets dark, don't fight it. But also, with side windows, you need curtains and blinds and all these
Yeah,
other things.
yeah.
But with just a big roof light, there's nobody above you.
No.
Well, I mean, if they're in a plane looking down, then they're a bit weird, aren't they? So,
Yeah, it's a little strange. But Max, I think that's a really good point because it is more private. It brings more light in. But Stuart, if you want roof lights, not all garden room suppliers can do that because of the structure. Is that right?
Yeah, it does come back to the system and just making sure you select the right system for what you're going to use the room for. So if you're looking to bring natural light in through the roof lights, then you need to select a still build. So then you've got the option to customise a window for ventilation, move the doors around and add the roof lights. If it's a different system, then it's not going to be able to take that weight and there won't be those options there.
So you mean like the build-up? So if it's a timber, some garden rooms are timber structures,
SIPs, yeah.
then you might not be able to have a roof light on it.
Normally not, no. Normally not in timber or SIPs, yeah. Normally a still build is required to take that weight and keep the structural integrity of the building.
Could you still have a green roof around a roof light? Is that
Yeah,
still...
that's not a problem.
So you can still do that on your roof, even
Yes.
though...
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I know someone quite close to me. He was very cheeky with their garden room and their green roof because they managed to get, well, not permission for, but they've got effectively a terrace on top of it because they argued that they needed access to maintain the green roof. So they were able to build a staircase up to it and quite cheekily end up with this kind of lovely terrace overlooking all their neighbours. But yeah,
I must admit, I do that on the houseboat as well.
Oh, do you?
I hid a little ladder on the back. But you can go as high as you like on a marina. There's no limit.
oh really?
You don't need building regs or
You're a
planning
boat,
permission or
yeah.
anything if you're a boat,
Yeah.
which is why I built my
Yeah.
house that floats.
Do you need building regs for a garden room? Is there ever a situation where you might need...
For an annex, it would be planning and building regs. So if you're putting a kitchenette in, then we need to think about planning and check with the local authority, which we do in-house for our consultants. And then for building regs, below 15 square metres, there's none. Above that, it's spread of fire. So when we've got a non-combustible steel frame build, or a majority non-combustible, as you alluded to, a majority of our build-up is non-combustible. Therefore, between even that 15 and 30 square metre range, we can still go very close to boundaries, and we'll use a aluminium box clad on the external, and then when you go up to 50 square meters, then we're building in with building regs, and the system is fully adaptable to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
An annex is a house, though, so once you get up to the size of an annex, it's built the same as your house.
Yep.
So when you put a kitchen or a
There's very little
bedroom.
changes with our system to be able to adapt it for the annex product.
We've got about 5 minutes left, so I don't know if anybody is thinking of getting a garden room, but if you are, or you have any question, just raise your hand up, and there's two over there. There's one here, then two here. Mic's not on.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. The question is one of insurance. So, I don't know, talking in the abstract, I suppose, say you've got a bunch of computer equipment, and are you covered by your standard policy for the house? If not, do you need a separate policy?
You just have to let them know you have one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to let your policy know you have one.
Do you mean contents or building insurance, or both? Are you asking that?
I suppose both, really.
Both, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, one
as
of-
long as you notify them that you have it.
Okay.
In your original policy, and when you're
Yep.
renewing, you tell them you have it.
Okay.
It'll be covered.
And then in terms of warranties, we'd offer a 10-year structural guarantee,
Okay.
20 years manufacturing guarantee on the roof product with no maintenance, 10 years on the aluminium door profiles and so on.
Nice. Okay.
There was another question here, the chap in the green pullover, and then the lady at the front.
Hi, I wonder if you could help me. On all your pictures, there's
Sorry,
one
could
thing-
you hold the mic? Yep, there you go.
I'm so sorry. On all the pictures I've seen so far that you guys are demonstrating, and everything looks lovely, by the way, I've not seen any drainage coming down from the roofs. Why is that?
So the drainage is either concealed at the front, depending on the circumstances and the survey, or the roofs fall to the back and then down the downpipe at the back. So the roofs that have a parapet in our system.
I don't like the look of them, so I always put them to the back.
So yeah, it's all
Right.
designed out. So it's all hidden within a parapet. So it looks like there's no fall in the roof either, but there is. It's just concealed within a parapet. You don't see that internally or externally. And then we take the water away into a proper stormwater attenuation tank. So it's
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Architects hate drain pipes for some reason.
yeah. It's done to a.
They are ugly.
PVC kills me either.
And garden designers as well, by the way.
You can get pretty drain pipes though. I've seen somebody using chains,
Yeah.
so the
Yeah.
water
They're good.
trickles down the chain.
copper
So
would be
that
nice.
that's in the build we're going to be talking about afterwards. And I'd never heard about that before.
No, it's amazing.
So the guys, Greg and Georgie,
Yeah.
they've got chains coming down into a
Their
big...
barn conversion.
Yeah, in their barn conversion, into these big, I think they're whiskey casks, I think, or something.
Ooh.
And then they go down into a storage unit, and they save that water and then reuse it for flushing the toilets and washing clothes.
But they
6
do that.
people getting excited by guttering. Who'd have thought
Guttering.
it?
Well, I've never seen it before. I thought it's fantastic.
You can reuse the rainwater, like you say. You can
Yeah.
create irrigation systems using that water. If you store that water, then there's different
Yeah.
options with it.
I have to say, I do prefer the old metal Victorian pipes compared to the horrible plastic
Yes.
black ones that we have now. So.
Just to add to that, in Japan they actually do that with the chains coming
Yeah.
all the way down with the water, or if not, little buckets that come down as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we can make lots of interesting things
That's
out
great.
of it. Anyhow, I shall pass the mic over.
Thank you.
Okay, so with permitted development rights to build up to the fence, you've got up to 2 metres. So if you want a taller, like garden office, so, and also you don't, this whole thing about having a flat roof as to like little side pitches, I suppose like if you want a pitched roof, you can do a kind of like, it looks softer if you don't want your neighbours to be moaning about your application, so you could come in down on the pitch towards that.
Just need planning
And is
permission.
that healthier in terms of the longevity of the actual garden office in the long term as well, by not having a flat roof?
In terms of the permitted development, you can be closer than a metre so long as you're conforming to building regs. It doesn't really come into it with planning. With 2.5 metres at the eave in terms of height. So planning permission is all to do with height, really. And then to be 2 metres away, your single pitch or dual pitch roof. Single pitch would be 3 metres, and a dual pitch roof would be 4 metres. Then you need to be 2 metres from the boundary. But in our system, we can go quite close to the boundary and maintain that 2.5 metre height. So
you can also get planning permission for it as well if you want something more bespoke that's doing something different. So you just get it, and because permitted development is there already, you've got a good precedent for pushing the planning permission a little bit harder.
Good, good. Are there any more questions? We've got time for one quick one. If not, I'm going to end with a few questions for the panel. Okay, so I guess this is to James and Stuart. If I wanted a garden, someone's just thinking about it, what are the things that they need to be thinking about? What should they be doing to start that journey?
Yeah, I think just think about the use, think about the quality of system that you need for the use that you're going to have. Think about, do you need something that's all year round, or is it just an occasional use building? And then just think about the provider you're going to instruct, and potentially get something that's design-led.
Perfect.
I think it's the relationship to the house. What do you want doing in the house, and what activity do you want doing in the garden and in the garden room? And if you think about those 3 things and make one an extension of the other, you'll get a successful garden room at the end of it.
Okay. Manoj, isn't this a great opportunity to also update your garden at the same time?
Absolutely, why not? God, make the garden part of the home as well. So, because to be honest, a garden is part of your home.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you want to include that space in it? So house, garden office, garden, bring them all together.
Fantastic. And there's you showed some great options of gardens and colours and things. So you can, it really is limitless, isn't it? Because you can render it and then paint it. Some of those lovely sort of reds and blues that you had earlier.
We talked about the fencing being charred or painted black.
Yeah.
So if you didn't necessarily want that wood look, paint it or char it. I've seen garden offices that have been done out of charred wood, charred timber. They look amazing.
Yeah.
Absolute statement offices, and actually then when you grow something against them, the planting just pops.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
Totally.
Charring's good fun as well, isn't it? Setting fire to wood is amazing.
Oh yeah. I'd do it.
It sounds pretty difficult. I mean, it's a Japanese thing. What's it called?
Shusugi-ban?
Shusugi-ban.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. Easy for you to say. But yeah, it's.
I would say test it out on a piece of timber before you start on the whole office.
And have a big bucket of water close.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the hose pipe ready.
Our insurance doesn't cover that.
Yeah, don't just go and burn your garden room down.
Pre-charred in the factory is preferable, guys.
Exactly.
Max, if I don't have the budget for a garden room, but I've got a shed, what should I be thinking about in order just to kind of upgrade it a little bit?
I think just have fun with it. Like I say, Shed of the Year was the most bonkers thing. We had people building playgrounds and flight simulators and all sorts of things. And also, it's kind of like a dress rehearsal for if you're going to invest 25, 30 grand, have fun with it and do it on the basic with old pallets and scaffold boards, reclaimed materials.
Yep.
You can do things on a right budget as long as you appreciate it's never going to have the same qualities for all year round use.
Yep.
But actually maybe try it out with your cheap shed, and then once you're happy with how you're going to use the space and you understand what you want
That's
from
a good
it,
idea, actually,
then maybe invest in getting these guys in to do it properly.
A stepping stone.
Yes, exactly.
And Karen, in terms of the design, adding sort of value and not just monetary value, but value in terms of how you use your home. If you have got a budget, it's something to think about, right?
Absolutely. And I've been thinking, actually, as we've been talking, that if you're going to spend 25, 30 grand, what you need to do is do your research, look into different companies, check them out, ask to see previous, projects that they've installed, because that's a lot of money. So you need to make sure that you're buying from someone that you can really trust. So my advice would be, do your research and shop around.
Well, I think that is a great note to end the session on. Thank you very much, audience. Thank you very much, panel. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause. It is sadly coming almost to the end of Grand Designs Live Birmingham 2021. We have one more session on the Grand Theatre. It's a great one. We're going to be meeting some grand designers and talking to Greg, Georgie and Mike about their journey through the self-build process, which they did, which was nice of them, but they did it on camera for us and created a great episode of Grand Designs. So that's going to be in about 15 minutes. Thank you very much.